Mr. President, today is Delaware Day. Something important for our state and our nation occurred December 7th, 1787. And Senator Coons is here, and I just want to ask him to take a moment and maybe share with our colleagues what that was all about. Senator Harkin was kind enough to give us a couple of minutes on his time to do this. But Senator Coons, what did happen there at that Golden Fleece Tavern?
Well, Senator Carper, thank you for the chance to enter into this colloquy with you about Delaware Day. As some folks may know, if you look at the Delaware flag, as the senior senator mentioned, there's the date, December 7th, 1787, and that's the day that 30 Delawareans, elected delegates, gathered in the Golden Fleece Tavern in Dover and voted unanimously to make Delaware the first state to ratify the United States Constitution, and that's why our state moniker is?
The first state.
The first state.
Small wonder. And the guys that were there that day, about 30 of them, had been there for 3 days. I like to say they were there drinking hot chocolate at the Golden Fleece Tavern. I'm not sure what they were drinking, but the outcome was a good one. And for one whole week after that, Delaware was the entire United States of America. And sort of opened it up. And who did we let in next? Was it Pennsylvania? I think maybe Pennsylvania, maybe New Jersey, and then the rest have followed. And I think for the most part, it turned out pretty well.
Well, and Senator, one of the things I have always been struck by is that it was 11 years before that that Delaware actually on Separation Day, on June 15th of 1776, acted both to declare its independence from Pennsylvania and its independence from the King of England. And by doing so, acted in an incredibly risky way, because had the Continental Congress July 4th not chosen to ratify the Declaration of Independence, then Delaware would have stood alone and arguably hung alone for having taken the risk of stepping out first. So Delaware has a tradition of being first in declaring its independence, in acting to secure its independence, and in ratifying the Constitution that set the whole structure that ended the debate over the Articles of Confederation and moved towards a federal system, one where we look to each other as states and look to this government for the provision of and the securing of our liberty through the balance of justice and liberty that we rely on so much in this body. What else are we doing to celebrate this great day, Senator Carper?
That Constitution that was ratified that day, think about it, the most enduring Constitution of any nation on earth, the most copied, if you will, emulated Constitution of any nation on earth as well. And a living document that provides provisions for us to change it and to update it as time goes by. It's remarkable. We're very proud of the role that we played in getting the ball rolling on this great country of ours. I want to go back to July 1776, if I can. From not far away from the Golden Fleece Tavern, a guy named Caesar Rodney rode his horse, and you wanted to share just quickly that story?
Made it possible for our delegation to be represented in Philadelphia, and for us to commit to the Declaration of Independence by breaking a tie between the other representatives of Delaware in the Continental Congress. And so,
and if you look at the back of the Delaware coin, you say, why is Paul Revere on the back of the Delaware coin? That's not Paul Revere. That's Caesar Rodney, riding his horse from Dover, if you will, to Philadelphia. And for people who ever, a lot of people are familiar with the Dover Air Force Base. We have big planes that come in and land there, C-5s, C-17s that fly all over the world. But as you come in on the approach into the runway, heading really northeast to land, you fly over, very close to flying over an old plantation house there, where a guy named John Dickinson used to live. John Dickinson, there's a high school in Delaware. A lot of people say, well, there's a high school named after John Dickinson. He's also a guy that was involved in the Constitutional Congress and also involved in the Declaration of Independence. And he was the penman of the Revolution. And so you think about it there, Golden Fleece Tavern, Constitution ratified, Caesar Rodney from Dover departing from not far from there to go cast a tie-breaking vote for the Declaration of Independence, and the penman of the Revolution growing up in what's now the Dickinson Plantation. A lot of history right there. A lot of history, especially for a state that doesn't have a national park.
Although we have a senior senator who is tireless in his effective advocacy.
Maybe we should do something about that. And with your help and that of Congressman Carney and our colleagues here in the Senate and the House, maybe including the presiding officer there from North Carolina, believe it or not, the economic value of the national park, maybe we can close on this, the economic value of national parks is actually charted for every one of our states. The most visited site in the United States among tourists from foreign countries are national parks. The economic value to the state of North Carolina, I was told last year, from their national parks, $700 million.
Well,
$700 million, not bad.
And if I might, just later today, we're having our first Delaware Day reception here in one of the Senate buildings. It's a way for us to promote and celebrate what is great about Delaware. But one of the things that I treasure most about Delaware is our unique political culture, a culture that focuses on consensus, on reasoned compromise, on bringing folks together from across what is in some other places a sharp partisan divide to find reasonable, principled paths forward to tackling the challenges that face our state. It is that consensus, common sense approach that I know my senior senator brought to his 2 terms as governor and has brought here to the Senate. Our congressman, who was on national television this morning with a Republican co-sponsor of an initiative, has also made that sort of a hallmark of his tenure, and I know that our governor has as well. So I just wanted to suggest that one of the things I think makes Delaware unique, special, valued first, isn't just our agricultural products, isn't just our great and enjoyable food products, isn't just a unique history at the beginning of our country, but is also how we continue to find ways to build bridges across a divide that so many Americans watch us here in the Congress wrestling with at this moment, and that I think in our home state we've managed to find a good path forward.
Madam President, we call this the Delaware way. And as my colleague from Delaware knows, whenever I run into people who've been married a long time, 50, 60, 70 years, I ask them, what's the secret for being married 50, 60, or 70 years? And they give me some really funny answers. But they also give me some very poignant answers. And one of the best answers, and one of the ones I hear over and over and over again, is the reason why they've been married for a long time is the 2 C's. The 2 C's. And I say, well, what are the 2 C's? And I said, communicate and compromise. And I would just suggest that's what we do pretty well in our state. And it's not only good advice to create an enduring marriage, but it's also would be good advice for us here in this body, in this town, to do a better job, both parties, to communicate and in the end to compromise. And we show, I think, every day in our state that if you do those things, take that seriously, the result is pretty good. And we could get a better result here if we keep that in mind. But with that, I think we said our piece. It's Delaware Day one more time, and may the spirit of Delaware and the Delaware way permeate this place as well.